time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday to you, wherever you may be. We're at Dodger Stadium for the final game of the three-game series with Milwaukee and the 10th and final game of the homestand. The Dodgers have won 5, and they have lost 4. The Dodgers are 4.5 games in front of the Giants, and for the Brewers, they are 18.5 games behind St. Louis. But that really doesn't make any difference as far as the Brewers are concerned, especially when they play the Dodgers. If you go back to 2010, right up to today, the Brewers have beaten the Dodgers 12 of 17. They won 5 of 6 from the Dodgers last year. They have split 6 this year, even though they're in last place. As far as the Dodgers are concerned, they will be facing Kyle Lohse. Lohse, an American Indian who was born in Chico, California, has given up 20 home runs. That would be tied for second with Ian Kennedy of San Diego. Kyle Kendrick has given up 23, but heck, he pitches in Colorado. As far as he is concerned, Lohse's record against the Dodgers would be 2-4, but as usual, he can pitch well here. He is 2-2. On the mound for the Dodgers would be the opposite of Kyle Lohse, a sinker ball pitcher, a ground ball pitcher. That would be Brett Anderson. 68% of all batted balls against Anderson are on the ground. So stay tuned. We ought to have a good ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. We're at Dodger Stadium, final game of a 3-game series with Milwaukee, the so-called rubber game, and final game of a 10-game homestand. And for young Josh Peterson going out to center field, he will have the excitement and thrill of his life as he goes to Cincinnati for the first time as a National League All-Star. Great to be young and be a Dodger, and to be an All-Star is certainly icing on the cake. For the Dodgers, facing Craig Counsell's ball club, Craig has a ball club that doesn't seem to understand they're in last place because they play more like a first-place team against the Dodgers. They've split the 6 in this series, and it'll be Chris Davis opening up in left field, the catcher Jonathan LaCroix, followed by Ryan Braun, who is for the 6th time named as an All-Star. Carlos Gomez in center field, Adam Lind at first, Aramis Ramirez at third, Gene Segura the shortstop, Hernan Perez at second base, and the pitcher Kyle Lohse. For the Dodgers, it's Brett Anderson facing a team, one of only a couple, against whom he has never pitched. He has a record of 5-5, and if he is on his game, we will see a lot of ground balls. 68% of batted balls against Anderson are on the ground, so Turner, Rollins, Kendrick, and Gonzalez will certainly be on their toes. Brett getting ready to pitch to Chris Davis. Chris Davis from Glendale, Arizona, went to school at Cal State Fullerton, takes a pitch off the plate, ball 1. It was the 2nd of June this year. He was sidelined after undergoing surgery. He had torn cartilage from his right knee. Though he's only played a few games and hitting .252. Nelson a swing and a ground ball to short. That figured. Rollins will throw him out. And just like that, a ground ball and one away. Take a look at the Dodgers with the leather, and they have to be sharp today with the ground balls. Gonzalez and Kendrick, Rollins and Turner. If he's right, the outfielders will not have a long day. Kike Hernandez, Jock Peterson, and Yasiel Puig. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. The temperature at the start of the game, 80 degrees. Not bad at all for this time in July. Anderson ready, works the first pitch in for a strike to LaCroix. And the count 0-1. Jonathan in last night's game had a clutch double, scored a run. He is 1 for 11. That was his only hit in the series. Swings late and fouls it away on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Waiting on deck is Ryan Braun. And Ryan Braun, for the 6th time, has been named to the All-Star squad because Matt Holliday of the Cardinals was injured and unable to play. There's a one-hopper, a nice play by Gonzalez to play it off his gloved side, right about at the hip. So LaCroix hits it sharply to first, and we have 2 down. Take another look. A Gold Glove first baseman and making it look easy. But it wasn't easy, but he takes it to the bag. So 2 down, and here is Ryan Braun. You probably know by now we're talking about Braun replacing Matt Holliday, and Max Scherzer is pitching today for Washington, so that means he would not be able to play. So Clayton Kershaw is one of the 5 Dodgers going to Cincinnati. Braun hitting .272, 2 for 8. Right-hand hitter with a lot of home runs, 15 of them, and takes ball 1. 52 runs batted in. 2 out, first inning, no score. Anderson from the third base side of the rubber comes back with an off-speed pitch foul back. Since Anderson had not pitched against Milwaukee, there are only 3 players he has faced in the past: Carlos Gomez, Adam Lind, and Gerardo Parra. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Ryan Braun. Anderson delivers a sinker low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Milwaukee has beaten the Dodgers going back to 2010, 12 of 17. They won 5 of 6 last year, and they are 3-3 going into this game. High drive into deep right center. Peterson at the track, at the wall, and it is gone. So Ryan Braun, celebrating his role for the 6th time as an All-Star, hits his 16th home run, his 53rd run batted in, and Milwaukee's on the board. That is the 8th home run allowed by Brett Anderson this year. So the Brewers certainly play the Dodgers as if they are the first place team, and a breaking ball, and Braun got all of it, and a towering drive to show you how well the Brewers can play. If they should win today, they will be a 500 team on the road. They would be 23-23. Now the batter is Carlos Gomez. Gomez, who had 5 runs batted in last night, a couple of doubles and a walk. Right-hand hitter takes down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Carlos. Hitting .278. 8 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Fouls a pitch away. Gomez, at least last night, was not only having fun, he was having a lot of fun ragging on Yasiel Puig. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Almost hits him. 2-2 the count. Yasiel Puig today talking to Carlos Gomez, and meanwhile the pitch of the plate is strike 3, and that's that. So Milwaukee gets a run on the home run by Ryan Braun, and at the end of half an inning, it's 1-0 Milwaukee. Our plays like one. Homers in the first inning against Brett Anderson, and Milwaukee takes a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the first. The Dodger lineup is penciled in by Don Mattingly. Reads this way. Jimmy Rollins back to his old leadoff role, the way he really sparkled when he was with Philadelphia. Then it's Howie Kendrick, Adrian Gonzalez, and Justin Turner hitting cleanup. Jock Peterson, Yasiel Puig, and A.J. Ellis. Kike Hernandez in left, Brett Anderson on the mound. On the mound, Kyle Loesch, who was born in Chico and gets a strike to Rollins. Kyle is an American Indian from the Nomlaki-Wintun tribe of California. The right-handed strike 1 pitch on the way, fastball high, and the count 1-1. Loesch is 6'2", 210 pounds, in direct contrast to Anderson, who's a ground ball pitcher. And Rollins drives one to right. Going back on the ball, watching it come off the wall, is Braun. It gets away from him, and Rollins decides to stop at second. So Jimmy Rollins in the leadoff role opens up with a line drive double off the right field wall. Take another look. Rollins got a breaking ball, but not much of a break, and apparently that's one of the problems for Kyle Loesch. His cutter, his breaking balls They just have slow movement, where years ago, let's say 2012, he was a 16-game winner with the Cardinals. He was brilliant that year, 16-3. Howie Kendrick now trying to advance Rollins and takes off the plate. Ball one, 1-0. Howie hitting .293, but at home hitting .317. Loesch, who was originally drafted by the Cubs but came up with the Minnesota Twins, had his best years with the Cardinals and gets a strike. Last couple of years with the Brewers, he won 11, then he won 13, and he's won 5 while losing 10 so far this year. He has given up 20 home runs. Loesch at the belt, and his 1-1 pitch on the way is poked foul into the crowd off first base. Couple of baseball notes now on Loesch. He is second highest as far as home runs allowed to plate appearances. 11% of his fly balls are home runs. Left-hand hitters have 8 of the 20 that he has given up, and he's allowed 5 home runs in the first inning, 4 in the first 15 pitches. The next pitch is low. 2 balls and 2 strikes they count. Loesch has given up 2 home runs on the 0-2 count, and he has the highest number of wins where he pitched less than 6 innings and allowed 4 or more earned runs. That's 3 of his 5 wins. The veteran comes back, and it's pulled on the ground to third. No advancement for Rollins. Throw to first in time for the out. So Kendrick taps to Ramirez. 1 down, and the batter will be Gonzalez. Take a look at the Brewers with Lind and Perez, Segura and Ramirez, Davis, Gomez and Braun, and LaCroix handling Loesch. Adrian Gonzalez doing very well, hitting .339 against Milwaukee. 5 All-Star appearances, hitting .283, 17 home runs, 53 runs batted in. Adrian 0 for 3 last night, hit 1 ball very deep to left field. Loesch ready and delivers, and the first pitch is low, ball 1, 1-0. Another thing that has bothered Kyle Loesch, 13 of the 20 home runs he has given up have come with men on base. He gets into a lot of trouble on his first pitch. The 1-0 pitch looking at a Dancy Rollins, and the pitch is swung on and fouled away. For Kyle Loesch, he just doesn't like to pitch in the daylight, and especially on Sunday. Sunday is just about always a day game. His record in daylight: 1 win, 5 losses, and an earned run average over 8. Ocho. And Rollins at second base with 1 out. Kyle comes back, and that's whacked foul down the right field line. Tried to sneak a fastball up and in, and Gonzalez, waiting for it, jumped all over it. But foul. 1-2. Hitting .385 against Loesch. Loesch is 5-10 in his 10 losses. His earned run average is 8, and he's given up 14 home runs. No pickoff play. Rollins, however, had to go back to the bag. Ryan Braun hit his 16th home run in the first inning, and Milwaukee leads the Dodgers 1-0. The 8th home run allowed by Brett Anderson. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Again, a bluff, no pickoff, no throw. Interesting, you get finished talking about Anderson is the sinker ball pitcher, and Loesch gives up home runs. And who's the first to give it up? The sinker ball pitcher. Here's the 1-2 pitch, swung on, pulled on the ground to the middleman. That's Perez, who throws to first for the out. On the play, Rollins advancing to third. Hernan Perez playing second base today. Perez was the poor soul in Game 1. When the game, as you may remember, it was 2-0 Milwaukee. They had a comfortable lead, 2 out, bases empty in the 7th. Perez came in for defensive purposes at third base, kicked a routine ground ball, and the next thing you know, the Dodgers scored 3 and won the game. Today at second base. So here's Justin Turner. It's been a struggle for him for the last 10, 11 games. And Justin takes a strike, and they count 0-1. The Brewers had won 7 straight, lost 1, won 1, so they've now won 8 of the last 9. And boy, have they done well offensively for Craig Counsell during those games. In the 8 games, 60 runs and 111 base hits. The pitch to Turner off the plate, and the count 1-1. Looking at the crowd, we were thinking about last night, Juan Uribe night. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Justin Turner, and too much time. Turner backs out. Everybody wonders what a man does on his bobblehead night. And remember, Juan Uribe was not here, although it was Juan Uribe bobblehead night. Well, Juan was playing for Atlanta against Colorado, and celebrating his bobble night in Los Angeles, Uribe hit a home run for Atlanta. It wasn't enough. Colorado won the game 3-2, but it was a nice touch. Turner waiting, trying to get Rollins home and tie up the game. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Loesch delivers, and that's fouled off. And the count 1-2. One other note about Loesch. He gets hurt on the first pitch and on the 1-ball, no strike count. The batting average, .447, and a .790 slugging average if the first pitch and or the 1-0 pitch is put in play. So if the Dodgers are aggressive, that's one reason why. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Justin Turner. Swung on, base hit up the middle, and we have a 1-1 tie. So Justin Turner comes up with his 39th run batted in as he blisters one up the middle. Jimmy Rollins carries the run in, and the batter will be Jock Peterson. So Loesch gives it up here in the first inning. And now Jock Peterson checking in. Peterson last night went 0 for 3. Did walk once. Made a fine diving catch on a ball in center field. The All-Star hitting .230, 20 home runs, 40 runs batted in. He's also struck out 105 times. And the pitch to Jock turns him around, but almost, but not quite, got him. 1 ball and no strikes. Kyle Loesch, by the way, has hit 8 batters. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way, and that's taken low and outside. 2-0 the count. Loesch originally the 29th round pick for the Chicago Cubs, but never made it to Chicago. Started his career in Minnesota. Loesch comes back 2-0, swung on and missed, 2-1. But his best years, as we mentioned earlier, with the Cardinals, he won 15 games in 2008, 14 in 11. The big year, 16-3 in 2012. He's also 36. He'll be 37 in October. And the next pitch swung on and missed, and they count 2-2. So by the time you get to 37, I'm sure the bite that you used to have on your breaking ball, it's starting to disappear, and he's trying to have to really outthink the hitter. Loesch looks in, getting a sign. Now he's ready. The 2-2 pitch on the way, instead time at the plate. So Justin Turner singled in Jimmy Rollins after Ryan Braun homered in the first inning, and we're 1-1. Peterson waiting. Loesch making him wait. Now Kyle delivers, drops it a little low. That runs the count all the way, 3-2. For Jock Peterson, he has struck out 105. He's also walked 58 times. So Jock gets deep in the count, 3-2. Waiting on deck, Yasiel Puig. Low set, very deliberate. Still waiting. There goes the runner, and there's a high pop fly back at first. Foul ground. Tough play for Lynn, fighting the sun, but he makes the catch with his second baseman Perez right behind him. So Peterson fouls out, but the Dodgers get a run, and at the end of an inning, a 1-1 tie. Singles up the middle to score Jimmy Rollins. So we're 1-1 going to the second inning. It'll be Adam Lind, then Aramis Ramirez and Gene Segura against the left-hander Brett Anderson. Anderson's little slider on the outside corner for a strike, and the count 0-1. Lind is a 300 hitter against right-handers, a 200 hitter against left. And Lind takes the pitch low, and the count 1-1 strike. Anderson always pitches in a hurry, so he's already on the rubber as he looks to get a sign. The 1-1 pitch, Lind takes a slow breaking ball for a strike, and the count 1-2. So Adam Lind, big first baseman. Here comes the next pitch off the plate, fastball, 2-2. Adam Lind is at his best against a right-hand pitcher with runners in scoring position. This time he hits a slow roller to the right side, and Kendrick throws him out, one down. So one away. Taking a look at Milwaukee and what they have done going against the Dodgers since 2010. They're dynamite. There's no other team nearly as successful as the last place Milwaukee Brewers. The pitch in for a strike to Ramirez, though we have one away. 1-1 tie in the second. Seventh meeting of the year. Each team has won 3. 1-1 strike to Ramirez, who singled last night and was thrown out trying to go to second by Yasiel Puig. Ground ball backhanded by Rollins. He knows he has plenty of time to get Ramirez. So 2 out. You know, Arizona went to New York and got swept by the Mets, and today the 5-3 loss they suffered must have really been a shock. You know why? They gave up 3 home runs to a player, Kirk Neuenhuis, who the Mets designated for assignment in May. He went to the Angels, came back to New York, and on this year came into the game with 4 hits all year. And today he has 3 home runs, becoming the first Met to ever have a 3-run home game. For sure, 9 have done it on the road, including Claudell Washington and Dave Kingman here at Dodger Stadium. So what a story, what a day for Kirk Neuenhuis, who hits 3 home runs and the Mets win 5-3. Even up the count now, 2 balls and 1 strike to Gene Segura. In fact, Neuenhuis is the way they pronounce that long name. After 3 home runs, everybody will know how to pronounce it, as Segura swings and misses, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dodgers got a run. Rollins doubled, Turner with 2 outs singled him home. Ryan Braun with 2 out homered in the first inning. 2-2 pitch on the way, sinker away, swung on and missed. That was kind of a discouraged swing by Gene Segura. So down go the Brewers at the end of an inning and a half, a 1-1 tie. Yasiel Puig, A.J. Ellis, and Kike Hernandez in that order. Anderson made 12 pitches to retire the Brewers. And now the right-hander Kyle Lohse delivers in the dirt. Ball 1, 1-0. The Phillies and the Giants are underway. Former Dodger Chad Billingsley, who pitched so well here, picked up a victory. He's going up against Chris Heston of no-hit fame, and it's no score in the 3rd inning. The Giants 4.5 games behind the Dodgers, and the pitch to Puig down and dirty, and the count 2 balls and no strikes. Lohse, a long look in. Now Kyle ready. The 2-0 pitch on the way. Puig takes a strike, and the count 2-1. Kyle Lohse, we mentioned, is an American Indian. In fact, he was featured in an exhibit called Baseball's League of Nations, a tribute to Native Americans in baseball, and that was at the Iroquois Indian Museum in New York in the fall 2 years ago. Kyle Lohse. 3-1 the count to Puig. Kyle delivers, swung on and missed. Boy, Puig really aired out that swing. 3-2. If you look at Kyle Lohse's right arm, it's a daily reminder of what happens when you're a hard thrower, 20-something, and then the journey to get to be 36. 3-2 pitch is swung on, lifted down the right field line. Braun still coming in foul ground, and it's back in the stands. So it's still 3-2 to Yasiel Puig. The scar that Lohse has on his right forearm winds from his elbow down to his wrist. That was pretty risky surgery 5 years ago. It really threatened to knock him out of baseball. He used to throw up to 95. Dave Duncan with the Cardinals taught him a 2-seam fastball, and that's what got him 16 victories And if you're watching on TV, you might see a little bit of the scar. 3-2 pitch shot back to the box, and Lowe stays with it and throws out Puig. Nice play by Kyle. One away.
Catcher number 17, AJ Ellis.
Take another look. That ball hit very hard, but one reason that it was made, Kyle Lohse was in a good follow-through position. During the Mets series, we saw two pitchers hurt. One of them was Kenley Jansen hurt, meaning giving up a base hit because they were in a bad follow-through position, but Lohse was perfect to handle it. Otherwise, that's up the middle. A.J. Ellis takes a strike, and the 0-1 pitch on the way. That's foul back, and the count 0-2. A.J. getting a chance to play as Kike Hernandez hitting back of him. One out, bottom of the second inning in a 1-1 tie. Lohse on the very edge first base side of the rubber comes back with an overhand breaking ball and misses, and the count 1-2. Lohse signed a 3-year deal in 2013 with Milwaukee. His 1-2 pitch is poked, smothered by Lynn, who gets up and feeds Lohse. So two fine defensive plays, first by the pitcher and now by the first baseman. So Ellis losing a hit. So in your scorebook, you have 1-3 and 3-1. And with two down, Kike Hernandez coming up. Fine play by Adam Lind. Hernandez checking in. Kike last night came in as a pinch hitter, hit a sacrifice fly to score Grandal from third for the only Dodger run, and he takes a high strike. 0-1. Hernandez has 10 runs batted in, 3 home runs. The strike one pitch is pop foul off to the right, no play. That'll be well back in the stands. 0-2 the count. Dodgers and Brewers. Remember, after the All-Star break, the Dodgers have a very, very important road trip. Here's the strike two pitch, and that's just off the plate. Washington, Atlanta, and the Mets. And remember, while the Dodgers scrambling with Washington, the Giants are playing Arizona. 1-2 pitch is hit in the air to right field. Braun coming up. He's right there to make the catch. While the Dodgers are playing Atlanta, the Giants are playing San Diego. And while the Dodgers are playing the Mets, the Giants are playing Oakland. It is a big, big road trip. At the end of two, a 1-1 tie. Fans in attendance Wednesday, July 29th, and you'll receive a Yasiel Puig bobblehead presented by Jack in the Box. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Hernan Perez will start it off and promptly drives one to left field and deep. Back goes Kike Hernandez, but this one is in the seats. And just like that, the Brewers are back out in front 2-1. So Perez, who went through, I'm sure, the tortures of the damned after that error the other night, now starts today. It's a fresh page after he's turned the other, and he hits a home run. For Perez, that would be his first home run. First home run of his career, and he got all of it. There was no doubt that thing was going to go a good half a dozen rows at least in the pavilion. And the batter now is Kyle Loesch, who swings and misses. So Anderson had allowed 7 home runs, and he's allowed 2 today. The ball thrown back on the field by the fans. The timeout while Hernandez retrieves. Milwaukee, we mentioned earlier, has won 8 of 9 on the road. They had one game where they scored 12. They've had 3 games where they scored 7. They had one game where they scored 9. They had one game with 17 hits. They've had 3 games with 16 hits. So the point is, it might be a last place club, but he'll sting you as many times as possible. Loesch hitting 200, right hand batter, takes off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Anderson against a pitcher who had allowed 20 home runs. He had allowed 7. And don't you know, 2 home runs today, not against Loesch, but against Anderson. 2-1 pitch. Kyle lifts it to right. Puig has to hurry to get up there, but it's going to drop for a base hit. So for Kyle Loesch, that would be his 7th hit. So Loesch, pretty good hitter. And a pop fly single to right. And the batter will be Chris Davis. Two runs, 3 hits for the Brewers as Davis checks in. Davis, who missed 35 games earlier. He had a torn meniscus in his right knee. He hits a high fly ball into left center and deep, but this one's playable. And Peterson will make the catch 1 step from the track. So the ground ball pitcher has given up 2 home runs and a towering fly ball. And we have 1 down.
Number 20.
Jonathan LaCroix coming up. By the way, Kyle Loesch standing at first base with that base hit. He now has 5 hits in his last 10 at-bats. Remember last night, Youngman had a base hit, and it seemed an eternity for him before he finally got home. He got home on the double by Gomez that cleaned the bases. Anderson's fastball sinks out of the zone. 1 ball and no strikes to Jonathan LaCroix. He hit it hard, but right at Adrian Gonzalez. Anderson looks at first, back to the hitter, and it's grounded foul off to the left. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. 2 runs, 3 hits for Milwaukee. You start to trade punches with the Dodgers as far as long ball. 84 home runs now for Milwaukee. The Dodgers with 111. Tell you another thing about Milwaukee. They might be last, but should they win today, they'll be 500 on the road, which is better than the Dodgers. A drive into the gap in right center. Puig comes over to make the catch. Tries to double up Loesch, who gets back to the bag, but it was close. So Loesch straddling the bag just did get back. Puig making a good throw. Last night, remember the Dodgers were doubled up on a fly ball from Carlos Gomez nailing Grandal. So Puig throws an arrow and Loesch gets back barely. 2 down, and the batter Ryan Braun, who homered in the first inning. 16 home runs. The All-Star has 56 runs batted in. He homered on a 2-ball, 1-strike count. And boy, has that been a gold mine for Ryan Braun. He swings, slaps one to right. That's in front of Puig for a base hit. Loesch will stop at second, and Puig airs it out and throws another arrow right at Jimmy Rollins. So Braun, a single to right. He's 2 for 2.
27, Carlos Gomez.
4 hits for the Brewers, 3 of them in the inning, and a very tough hitter, Carlos Gomez, coming up. We were talking about Braun and the 2-1 count. He not only homered on the 2-1 count today. When it's 2 balls and 1 strike to Ryan Braun, look out. He's hitting .462 with 3 home runs on that count. So here is Gomez, struck out in the first inning. First and second, 2 out in the third, and the Brewers leading the Dodgers 2-1. Anderson delivers a little change, and it's squirted up along first to Gonzalez. Steps on the bag, and that's that. So that's baseball for you. Last night, Gomez 5 RBIs. Today, struck out and a little ground ball to first. No runs except for the home run by Perez. 2 men left, and it's 2-1 Milwaukee. Today, so they need an extra arm, and they've got a dandy with Clayton Kershaw going to Cincinnati. The 5 Dodgers with their all-star shirts, Gonzalez, Greinke, etc., all using the numbers that they wear during the regular year for the Dodgers. For Clayton Kershaw, 5 straight appearances, joining Greinke, Peterson, Gonzalez, and Grandal. 5 all-stars. That would be the most for the Dodgers since 1995, as Anderson swings and misses. You want some names to bring back some memories? Raul Mondesi, Hideo Nomo, Jose Offerman, Mike Piazza, and Todd Worrell. So for the first time, 10 years, the Dodgers send 5. Meanwhile, Brett Anderson at the plate, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Anderson followed by Rollins and then Kendrick. 2-1 Milwaukee. 2 runs, 4 hits. Dodgers 1 run, 2 hits. Loesch delivers good fastball to strike out Anderson swinging, and we have 1 away.
Number 11, Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins opened up the game and doubled off the base of the right field wall. Took third as Kendrick grounded out, and then scored on a base hit by Turner. So Jimmy back up in the leadoff spot. When he was leading off for Philadelphia, he was a holy terror. Jimmy batting left-handed. Switch hitter has a look at a strike. Rollins hitting left-handed is struggling at 195. Right-handed, he's hitting 296. Strike one pitch on the way is taken in there for a strike. 0-2. That's rather a high strike for somebody about 5'9". Kerwin Danley is the plate umpire. Danley's been umpiring in the big leagues going on 19 years. The strike two pitch, check swing. It's low, ball one. 1-2. Kerwin Danley played baseball in college. He was a first team All-American. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, and that's going to go foul down the line. Danley says his proudest moment as a major league umpire was having his father watch him work a major league game. He did the 2008 World Series, another big assignment. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Rollins takes, strike three called, and down goes Jimmy for the second out. Second strikeout for Carlos, and Howie Kendrick coming up. So here are the Brewers trying to get to the 500 mark on the road. The Dodgers are 4 games under 500 on the road with a big trip coming up. Why it works out that way, nobody seems to understand. Little nubber out in front of the plate. It'll be picked up by LaCroix, and that'll be the end of Kendrick. So a quick inning for Kyle Loesch. He is now retired 7 in a row. And at the end of 3, 2-1 Milwaukee. The 2015 Jeep Cherokee. With an EPA estimated 31 highway MPG, it's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com today. Fourth inning, the Brewers leading the Dodgers 2-1. The enthusiasm of youth. Great to have him here. Pretty hard to look at him without smiling. Others have brought their own amusement, a nice fan to cool off. Meanwhile, Adam Lind, the first baseman, coming up. Brett Anderson ready to work on the big guy out of Anderson, Indiana. Lind passed up the Minnesota Twins, went on through high school in Indiana, and signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Takes a breaking ball strike, and the count 0-1. Lind over the last 32 games red hot, especially with men in scoring position, and the count now no balls and 2 strikes. He's been extremely effective against right-hand pitching and struggling very much so against left-handers. Strike 2 pitch, down and away. Lynn grounded out in the second inning. That's off the plate, 2-2. You know, of the Brewers' 6 batters that came to the plate in the third inning, they had a home run and a couple of singles. 4 of the 6 went after the first pitch. Lynn goes after this one, bangs it down the line for a base hit, and he'll hold on as Hernandez gets it back in. So Milwaukee not really troubled right now with Brett Anderson. A shot by the diving Justin Turner. So that's the 4th hit in 1 inning plus. And that third inning, there were a couple of fly balls, which is almost heresy to Brett Anderson. Aramis Ramirez grounded to third in the second inning. Had a base hit last night, but he was thrown out stretching by Puig. And he promptly bangs it into left field for a base hit. So Anderson on the first pitch is banged again, this time by Ramirez. So Milwaukee does not want to get into a deep count, and they're being extremely aggressive going after Anderson. So for Craig Counsell, he's got to really wonder, what in the heck is wrong with my team? Why are we just about 500 on the road and 12 games under 500 at home? Anderson, 2 on, nobody out. And a little topper by Segura. Anderson picks it, throws, and it's too late. And the bases are loaded. So 2 singles to left. Segura gets a single up along the third baseline. So the bases are loaded, nobody out, no one throwing in the Dodger bullpen. And the batter now is Hernan Perez, who hit the home run, the first of his career, back in the third inning. And we'll see now whether Perez tries to go after the first pitch. Hernan Perez, big right-hand batter, got a hold of one, fastball above the belt, and hit it well back into the left field pavilion. Hernan is from Aragua in Venezuela. He was originally signed by the Detroit Tigers. Came up in 12, again 13, and again last year. He takes a strike. He has not shown any home runs. The one he hit today was his first, the highest in the low minors. He hit 6, but he's not a home run hitter. Anderson's slow curveball is hit slowly to Kendrick. They will get 1, and that's all as a run scores, and the Brewers lead 3-1. So Perez hits into the force play. Ramirez going to third as Lynn comes home. And Kyle Lohse, who is 5 for his last 10 at-bats, coming up. Perez picking up his second run batted in. So Milwaukee 3 runs, 7 hits. Dodgers 1 run, 2 hits. For the Dodgers, it would be troubling to finish up a homestand where they thought they were going to do exceptionally well. A bunt attempt fouled, no balls, 1 strike. Dodgers during this 10-game homestand have won 5, lost 4, and they're losing now 3-1. No further report of any big news up north. We can tell you, we'll check it and give you the score. Meanwhile, Lohse will see if he tries to bunt again. He does, and a good bunt. And here comes the runner to the plate. A high feed, and he's out at the plate. So Lohse got a good bunt down. It was a good bunt for a sacrifice, but not for a squeeze. And that's the second out of the inning. So Lohse, a fielder's choice. We can tell you the Giants have exploded again. Giants 4, Phillies nothing in the 4th inning. So 2 outs at the plate. The batter now, the leadoff man, Chris Davis. Anderson ready and delivers, and the pitch on the outside corner for a strike. So I guess you could say Milwaukee got a little greedy. I mean, it was not enough to have the pitcher stay out of the double play and sacrifice. They also tried to squeeze in a run at the same time, and it didn't work. Fastball away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Chris Davis grounded to short, fly to center. Three runs, 7 hits for Milwaukee. High pitch, kind of a I'm not quite sure swing, and the count 1-2. Davis, as we mentioned earlier, he was out with a torn meniscus in his right knee. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Chris. And ground ball to the hole, up with it, dropped, recovered, throws to second in time to get the force play on Loesch. And the Dodgers squirm out of the inning. It could be a lot worse. Bases loaded, nobody out, and they give up 1. And at the end of 3.5 innings, it's 3-1 Milwaukee. Show featuring music from the 1980s. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. 3 runs, 7 hits for Milwaukee. Yes, high fives for you too, left-hander, along with a signed ball. And another left-hander. Meanwhile, another left-hander, Adrian Gonzalez, coming up to the plate. 3 runs, 7 hits for Milwaukee. 1 run, 2 hits for the Dodgers. Dodgers have to feel they really got away with 1. 3 hits in the 4th inning, nobody out, and the Brewers wound up with 1. Gonzalez grounded out in the 1st inning. Loesch has made 47 pitches. A bunt attempt because there's no one playing third base. Aramis Ramirez at shortstop and far, far away from the bag. Adrian 0 for 1. 0-2. He was a little out in front of that. This did hit it off the end of the bat. They put up the block on the right side. That means Lynn, Perez, and Segura. And Ramirez all alone on the left. 0-2. Fastball pulled down the right field line, foul. That was a pitch up. Gonzalez, a very good hitter, up or down. Normally the ball down seems like the one he really likes. But if you get it up around the letters, he's liable to do a number on that, especially with a no ball 2 strike count. He couldn't afford to take it. 0-2. And he goes the other way. No balls, 2 strikes. And another foul ball. So it's still 0-2. We were talking earlier about that scar on Losh's right arm. He'll show you what the scar does and the difference between his 2 arms. When he flexes his left forearm, the muscles tighten like normal. But when he does the same to his right arm, the muscles move around a little bit like jelly. But he's making it work. Slider, fastball, curve, and a changeup. And a 1-ball, 2 strike count. And fouled away again. A light breeze, very welcome, I'm sure, to the people in the pavilion. The breeze picks up, blowing from left to right. 1-2 the count to Adrian Gonzalez. Kyle Loesch ready. 1-2. And that's sliced into left. Coming up in a hurry, making the diving catch, Chris Davis. Wonderful play. A sinking line drive. And if anything, it was slicing, so that helped Davis a little bit. Carlos Gomez over to give him a high five. So a big play by Davis, a tough chance, and he makes the play. So Gonzalez lines to left, 1 down in the 4th, and Justin Turner coming up. So one reason the Brewers ready to make some plays is the fact that Loesch is throwing strikes. They're all on their toes. They're not back on their heels watching a guy go ball 4 half the time. So defense improves as the pitchers control. And with 1 out, here is Turner. Singled up the middle. Bangs one down the left field line. Foul. And the count 0-1. In some ways, it must be frustrating to be Kyle Loesch. I mean, he was top of the world back in 2012, a record of 16-3. Back in his early days when he was first signed, he was hitting 96 on the radar gun all the time. Then he went to St. Louis and got into the hands with one of the finest pitching coaches, Dave Duncan. And Duncan, who was so sharp, immediately noticed something about Loesch. He was tipping his pitches. How? By staring at his glove. Before throwing the off-speed stuff, he'd flare the glove. That's fouled away. 0-2. Giants leading the Phillies 4-0 in the 5th inning. Brandon Crawford singled in the first one. Andrew Susac, the young catcher, homered for the other 3. Yeah, Susac is going to be there for a long time, which will give Posey a longer career as a first baseman. 0-2. Turner tries to golf it, fouls it, swings out from under his hat. Red hair glistening in the sun. No balls and 2 strikes. One reason that Loesch, as we mentioned, got that good play in left field by Davis, he is throwing strikes. He's been 0-2 to all but 1 of the last 7 hitters, and he is now 1-2 to Justin Turner. So he's become kind of a nibbler, an off-speed pitcher, instead of the guy who used to throw darts. And there are scouts, I know one, here specifically to look at Loesch. Fastball sliced into right field, and that's going to drop just inside the line. Turner is on his way for 2, and not much Braun can do about it. So a bloop double by Justin Turner. The old story, it looks like a line drive in the box score, and the batter is Peterson. And of course, that's baseball. I mean, Adrian Gonzalez drills a low slicing line drive, and Davis makes a great catch. Turner hits a pop fly that just nestles inside the chalk, and the Dodgers have a runner at second. Jock Peterson fouled out in the first inning. The young All-Star hitting .229, 20 home runs, 40 RBIs. He also, of course, has that glove that's worth a great deal. Made a dazzling somersault catch last night. And ball 1. Kyle Loesch has 147 victories. He would be 9th in the top 10 of active major league win leaders. And ball 2. Tim Hudson is on the DL for the Giants, 219. Bartolo Colon just still going along, 213, and CC Sabathia, 212. Two balls and no strikes. And that drops in for a strike. 2-1 to Jock. What a thrill that must be to be a rookie and go to the All-Star game. When he gets into the clubhouse and starts looking around and seeing all the fine players in there, that'll be a bit overwhelming, I'm sure. That's the story we hear from any first-time All-Star. 2 balls, 1 strike. Fastball, 2-2. Turner wringing his right hand. It hurt a little bit on that swing. The knob of the bat can be an enemy. That's why so many players break the hamate bone in the hand, because of that knob, and they're all down there on that knob. To choke up today only means emotionally. And down he goes. So Peterson strikes out. 2 out. Turner at second base, and Yasiel Puig coming up. That would be the 3rd strikeout for Loesch. Puig hit back to the box, and because Loesch was in a good fielding position in his follow-through, he was able to make the play. Anything less than that, and Puig would have had a base hit. Ball 1. Puig hitting .266. 4 home runs, 14 runs batted in. And fouled away. Interesting, the Dodgers have seen some very good young pitchers. Noah Syndergaard of the Mets, Steve Matz of the Mets. Then the other night they saw Jimmy Nelson of Milwaukee. Last night, very impressive performance by Taylor Youngman. But today, it's not a young one. It's a wise old veteran. 1-1. 1-2. Loesch will be 37 the 4th of October. And for baseball to be 37, you are indeed a veteran. Of course, he came up to the big leagues in 2001. So he has had a wonderful career. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And down goes Puig. That's 4 strikeouts. He had 2 strikeouts in the 3rd, 2 more strikeouts in the 4th. The Dodgers leave Turner. And at the end of 4, the struggle continues. Milwaukee 3, Dodgers 1. Dance, and not only to dance, but with the extended arms of your dad. Now there, every move is indeed poetry. Bless her heart. She's probably wondering just what in the world am I doing up here? But I trust you, Dad. It must be for a good reason, and I'll shake off the blues. 5th inning, 3-1 in favor of Milwaukee. Dodgers trying to shake off the blues. LaCroix, Braun, and Gomez coming up. And a strike. 0-1. Giants are still leading Philadelphia 4-0 in the 6th inning. Jonathan LaCroix grounded hard to first, flied to right, jammed, and fouls that back. 0-2. LaCroix, a solid ball player, and last year he was 4th in the MVP voting. I mean, Clayton won it, and then you had Giancarlo Stanton, Andrew McCutchen of Pittsburgh, and Jonathan LaCroix, who promptly bangs it into center. So for Milwaukee, they're not having a lot of trouble with Anderson. They have 8 hits in 4 innings plus. They had 3 hits with nobody out in the 4th inning and wound up with only 1 run. Last night, the Brewers had 12 hits and everybody in the lineup had a hit. Parra had 3 hits and Gomez had 2 doubles. So tonight, or today, here they are leading 3-1, and here's Braun 2 for 2. Ryan homered in the 1st inning and singled in the 3rd. And he hits one to 3rd. Nice pick by Turner. He gets it to Kendrick. The throw to 1st. Double play. Justin Turner making a fine play to hurry it up. And a base hit followed by a double play ground ball. 5-4-3 around the horn, as the old timers would say. Kendrick had to get rid of the ball in a hurry because LaCroix was coming down there in a hurry. And now here's Carlos Gomez. Had that big night. Couple of doubles. Threw a man out. Made a fine running catch on a ball hit by Puig. Today has struck out and grounded out. Carlos Gomez, ball 1. from the Dominican and a multi-talented player. He hits a fly ball straight away center. Peterson puts that away. So despite the leadoff single, it's a 1-2-3 inning thanks to the double play. No runs, a hit, nobody left, and we're heading to the bottom of the fifth. 3-1 Brewers. Your Southern California Toyota dealers. Now, during Toyota's summer savings, you can save big on any 2015 Camry. Bottom of the fifth inning, 3-1 in favor of the Brewers. Dodgers with Ellis, Hernandez, and Anderson. And Kyle Lohse, so far, spinning a three-hitter. The Dodger run came in the first inning. Jimmy Rollins doubled, and Justin Turner singled up the middle to get him home. A strike to A.J. Ellis, who grounded hard. A diving stop by Adam Lind at first base took care of him. So A.J. 0 for 1, hitting .213. 1 ball and 1 strike. May be wrong, but if you play once a week, I think you'd rather pitch against a breaking ball pitcher, a fellow who doesn't overthrow, as opposed to going up against somebody throwing 97, I would think. 2 balls and 1 strike to A.J. And a high fly ball to dead center. Going back on it is Gomez at the wall. It's gone. Boy, did that carry on the Sunday afternoon heat. And it's 3-2 Milwaukee. For Kyle Lohse, that is the 21st home run that he has allowed. Ian Kennedy has allowed 20, and Kyle Kendrick, who pitches in Colorado, has allowed 23. So A.J. hits it out. The Dodgers get closer, and here now is K.K. Hernandez, fly to right field. Ball 1. So A.J. Ellis muscles one over the center field wall. That's a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lohse works quickly. So does Anderson. The next one missed in the count 1-2. That hurried up there at 79. So A.J. sitting back in the cool of the dugout. And that'll do it for K.K. Hernandez. That for Lohse, his 5th strikeout.
Number 35, Brett Anderson.
Brett Anderson, who struck out in the 3rd inning coming up. Lohse picked up 2 strikeouts in the third, 2 strikeouts in the fourth, and he has one now to give him 5. On deck, Jimmy Rollins. No balls and 1 strike to Brett Anderson. Milwaukee 3 runs, 8 hits. Dodgers 2 runs, 4 hits. And down goes Anderson. So that's a half a dozen strikeouts now for Kyle Lohse. For the Brewers, they might very much kick themselves over a big opportunity. That was in the 4th inning. They had 3 straight singles to load the bases and nobody out. Admittedly, they had the bottom of the lineup, and Hernan Perez, who had homered in his first at-bat, hit into a force play. Lohse tried to bunt for a sacrifice at least, and Ramirez was cut down at the plate instead. High fly ball to right field. Coming in for it is Braun, waiting and waiting, and makes the catch. So the Dodgers give up their 1 run, the home run by A.J. Ellis, clearing the center field wall. That gets it close, but it's still Milwaukee 3 and the Dodgers 2. It was a brand new Busch Stadium to welcome the ball game. It was 106 degrees, by the way, that day, and Sandy Koufax started the game. The National League won it in 10 innings, 2-1, on a base hit by Maury Wills to drive in Tim McCarver. Gaylord Perry got the win. Let's go back to this one. One ball and no strikes to Adam Lind. The weather is always part of a game, except most of the time here. That's a strike. I mean, the players wind up playing in the bitter cold, in the snow, in the rain, and of course in the heat. St. Louis at 106 has a lot of humidity as Gonzalez takes it to the bag, and that'll do it for Lind. 1 away. One of the most excruciating day I think anybody ever spent in a ballpark was in Houston, Texas, when the Astros were in the National League. The Dodgers were in town in the old stadium, Colt Stadium, before they built the great Astrodome. The temperature and the humidity was so hot. The police report said they carried something like 125 people out of the ballpark. And in the doubleheader, it was Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. That's a little pop fly. Backtracking is Kendrick, and we have 2 down. And now remember, both Koufax and Drysdale each lost 15 pounds. course, by the time they had some dinner, drank some water, most of it came back, but it was brutal. And in that old stadium, no roof, no place to hide, they actually built a wooden box for the visiting broadcasters. And there was only the opening in the front of the box to look out at the game. That was the year, I think, the bridge on the River Kwai was famous. And I remember, God rest his soul, Jerry Doggett and I mean, we were seeing concentric circles. They also used mosquito spray, and that had a sickening sweet smell to it. And I remember saying to Jerry on the air, don't give them anything more than your name and rank and serial number. It was really a tortuous afternoon in the ballpark. Way back when. 1-2 the count to Gene Segura. Struck out, singled on a little topper up along third. Whoa. 2-2 the count to Gene Segura. Mike Blazek, a right-hander, gets up now in the bullpen for Milwaukee. 3-2 the count to Segura. Hernan Perez on deck. Three and two. Breaking ball, another little tapper. This time Anderson picks it, throws, got him. So the Brewers go 1-2-3. They've gone 1-2-3 three times, but once they had allowed a base hit. And now let's see. Is it going to be a close enough play to ask for a review? And the word is no. We've checked. No good. And at the end of 5.5 innings, 3-2 Milwaukee. The first 40,000 fans in attendance on Sunday, August 2nd, the Dodgers and the Angels. You'll receive your very own Dodger cap presented by Security Benefit. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Anderson has worked his way through 6 innings and made 70 pitches. And a new pitcher, Michael Blazek, coming in. A lot of people call him Blazer. Others call him Michael. He was born in Las Vegas. 26 years old. Went to Arborview High School in Las Vegas and was drafted in the 35th round by the St. Louis Cardinals. He came up briefly to the Cardinals 2 years ago and then came over to the Brewers, and here he is. An even 6, 200-pounder, Michael Blazek. For the Dodgers, Howie Kendrick will start it off. And ball one. Brett Anderson doing what he usually does in his 6 innings. a dozen ground ball outs. Kyle Loesch made 81 pitches and goes out leading 3-2. One and one. Off the plate, ball two. Blazek has done very well in relief, allowing just 27 hits in 45 innings. In fact, the Brewers bullpen has done very well. The Brewers bullpen with an earned run average of 3.2. The Dodger pen is 3.5. The Milwaukee bullpen has only lost 7 games. The Dodger pen has lost 15, and they're last. So 3-2 the count. Left-hander Neil Kotz gets up down in the bullpen for the Brewers. Blazek ready. 3-2, check, swing, strike 3, and down goes Kendrick. So 7 Dodgers have bitten the dust. Loesch struck out a half a dozen. Talking about strikeouts by Blazek coming in, the Dodger bullpen has 282 strikeouts. The Milwaukee bullpen 273. The Phillies 288. But of course, you get an overworked bullpen, many more opportunities when you have a poor team. On the corner for a strike to Gonzalez, but grounded out and lined out on a diving catch in left field by Chris Davis. 0-1. 0-2. Blazek working on Gonzalez. Made his major league debut 2 years ago against the Rangers. Faced 3 batters, got them all. Off speed, just missed down and away. 1-2. Basically, Blazek, a fastball that's been clocked as high as 97. Curveball, slider, and a change. Brewers got him in a deal with the Cardinals for John Axford. And the next pitch is pop foul and should go out of play, and does. Landing in the crowd behind the Dodger dugout and kangarooing back up about 12 rows. For Blazek coming in, he has done very well. The opposition is hitting 172 against him. So Mike ready, and here he comes 1-2, and it's a jammer and fouled away again. Neil Kotz, we told you the left-hander was up in the bullpen. Now Jeremy Jeffress, a right-hander, joins him. So if you get tangled up with Milwaukee, if they keep the game close, one of their major strengths has been the bullpen. 1-2 the count. Breaking ball, check swing, no swing, says Joe West. 2-2. Triangle defense. Hernan Perez 20 feet out on the grass in right field. Adrian just held back. 2-2. And a high drive into right center, but playable. Gomez is there. So Gonzalez has hit a couple of balls on the button, but he's 0 for 3. Justin Turner singled in a Dodger run in the first inning and doubled to right, pop fly double in the fourth. Hitting .306. Trying to get something started. Jock Peterson on deck. So Michael Blazek trying to get a third out, and then he's due to bat second, and they figured a hit for him. That's why they have the bullpen up. 0-1. Fastball at the feet. Now the 1-1 pitch off the plate, ball 2. Blazek pitching at least an inning today, has been in 36 games and 46 innings. ERA of 1.6 and a record of 5-2. A line drive that almost took his hat off. So for Justin Turner, a 3-for-3 game, and boy, he was all over that. Now let's see about what they do with Jock Peterson and what happens as far as the pitching is concerned. A 2-out bullet to center field. Turner 3-for-3. And let's see. They have the left-hander Neil Kotz. The Dodgers have Jock Peterson. And we will see whether Craig Counsell makes the move. Normally his pitching coach goes out, but not now. Rick Granite sits and Counsell goes out. That'll do it for Blazek. He gets 2 outs, gives up a base hit, which is the potential tying run, and we'll be right back. Is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Use promo code BLUECREW for free entry. Bottom of the 6th inning, it's 3-2 in favor of Milwaukee. Jock Peterson coming up with 2 out and Justin Turner at first. Neil Kotz out of Belleville, Illinois, lives in Lebanon. Lebanon's about 30 miles east of St. Louis. He was a Cardinal fan growing up. In fact, he really grew up playing soccer. He was playing soccer from 7 till about 17. Ball 1. Then he hurt his leg playing soccer. Wound up playing, as he says, playing baseball for fun in high school. And he was good enough to get a scholarship to play at Illinois State. The 1-0 pitch on the way. And he's behind Peterson now. 2 balls and no strikes. Interesting, but of course he was burned the other night when Craig Counsell did not have a left-hander ready to come in, and Andre Ethier was the batter, and Ethier got a big base hit. This time Craig had a left-hander in the pen and brought him in to face Peterson. For Blazek, he made 17 pitches, and so far in Blazek's young career, 46 innings, he has not given up a home run. Kotz, on the other hand, has allowed 6. So Peterson 0 for 2, a 2-1 count, and ball 3. You have Yasiel Puig on deck. They've had both left and right. Jeffress, the right-hander, was up in the pen. So if Kotz does not get Peterson, it extends the inning. They'll make another change. It's been Loesch, Blazek, and Kotz, and the 3-1 pitch to Jock Peterson. High foul ball. That'll carry out of play. 3-2 with 2 down, so the Dodgers have Turner representing the tying run. He'll be going on the pitch. Neil Kotz, 6'1", 200-pounder. He is 35 years old. Older than I thought. Drafted back in 2001. 3-2. Turner goes, and it's swung on and missed. So Jock Peterson strikes out a second time. Dodgers leave the tying run. Turner on base, and at the end of 6, the Brewer bullpen is still going strong, and they lead 3-2. As we go to the top of the 7th inning, what's ahead for most of the Dodgers? A rest. 5 of them go to Cincinnati for the All-Star break on the 14th, and then they all pick up and hit the road. 3 in Washington, 3 in Atlanta, and 4 in New York before coming home to play the A's, the Angels, and then go back out on the road again. Ball 1 to Hernan Perez. He homered, hit into a force play. Hector Gomez on deck to bat for Neil Kotz. That's a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. So you have Carlos Gomez, who plays all the time, and Hector, who gets in there once in a while. And a drive into the gap in left center. Peterson watching and picks it off right on the track. So Perez, a long out. 1 down. Now here's Hector Gomez from San Pedro de Macorís, the home of Pedro Guerrero. Hector, 6'2", 195, 27 years old. Well, if you said a Brewer named Gomez would be the first major league batter to ever triple and homer in the same game against Clayton Kershaw, it might come as a mild surprise, knowing how good Carlos Gomez is against the league and against Clayton as well. But instead, it was Hector Gomez, a veteran who had 659 minor league games, only 33 major league games. And here's the kicker. He became the first to ever triple and homer against Kershaw in the same game. A chopper to short. Rollins is on it. That takes care of Hector. to Hector, the base hit collector. It goes back to the dugout. It was his first career triple, and it was his first career home run. By the way, when Hector came up, he was introduced to the major leagues as a pinch hitter to face Madison Bumgarner, and he lined out. Quite a background for Hector Gonzalez, 27-year-old from the Dominican. 2 down here in the 7th, and here's Chris Davis. One ball and one strike. Chris Davis grounded to short, fly to center, hit into a force play. 2-1 the count. Davis playing over Gerardo Parra with a left-hander Anderson going. They sit Parra down. Parra last night a single, a double, and a home run. Tough man to sit down. Change, pulled foul. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 7th inning, they'll have Puig, Ellis, and Hernandez. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Pedro Baez begins to warm up. 2-2. And Davis fouls another one. The Brewers might be in last place, but they're trying to win the season series from the Dodgers. 2 teams have split the previous 6, splitting 4 in Milwaukee and 2 so far here. And down goes Davis. So you sit Gerardo Parra after a big night, and you go 0 for 4 with the substitute, and we go to the bottom of the 7th, 3-2 Milwaukee. Three to 2 in favor of Milwaukee, and once again the Brewers go to the bullpen, this time for Jeremy Jeffress out of South Boston, Virginia. Graduate of Halifax High School in South Boston. He was a #1 pick by the Brewers back in 2006. He came up in 2010. The next thing you know, he was in the American League with the Royals and the Blue Jays, and then came back to the Brewers last year. By the way, when you get into the Milwaukee bullpen, remember the ace. That's Rodriguez. Francisco has 367 career saves. He's tied right now with Jeff Reardon, who is a terrific reliever with the Montreal Expos. Meanwhile, Jeffress working on Puig. Hit back to the box and struck out. 0 for 2. One ball and one strike. Yasiel Puig trying to get untracked. Hitting .264. 4 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Fastball line foul. 1-2 the count. Well, that line drive went right into the well where some of the grounds crew was. Thank goodness it didn't get anybody. 1-2. There they are. Eric Hansen and company. And down goes Puig, striking out a second time. So for the Dodgers, 9 strikeouts. Loesch had 6. Blazek got 1. Kotz got 1. And now Jeffress gets 1. Meanwhile, up north, Giants 4, Phillies 1. And they're in the 8th inning. A.J. Ellis grounded out hard in the 2nd inning and homered over the center field fence in the 5th. His 2nd home run of the year. Breeze blowing from left to right, and that's a strike for the A.J. Ellis Marching and Chowder Society. Another look. Gomez climbing the wall to no avail. 2nd home run for A.J. Jeffress, who is 6'1", he'll be 28 years old the end of September. He was a big high school basketball star, especially great on 3-pointers. Missing inside. Left-hander Will Smith throwing now in the bullpen. So it's been Loesch, Blazek, Kotz, and now Jeffress. 2-1. And that's going to be flared foul. That stung A.J. Ellis' right hand. 2-2 the count. Two balls, 2 strikes. Another foul ball. Jeffress' fastball has been actually clocked as high as 102 miles an hour. He has a curveball, slider, and a changeup. So keep your eye out. He might just pop one of those 100s. Two balls, 2 strikes. Another foul ball. Well, he's flirting with it. 97. Jeffress not only loves to play golf, he owns a little driving range back in South Boston, Virginia. A couple of years ago, Jeffress was diagnosed with juvenile epilepsy. He's gotten proper medication. 2-2 is off the plate. Ball 3. 3-2. In December of 2010, the Royals sent Zach Greinke, Yuniesky Betancourt, and Cash to offset the buyout of Betancourt's option to Milwaukee. The Royals got Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, etc. Meanwhile, a drive to right, but this time it's going to run out of distance as Braun makes the catch on the track. So A.J. has had a couple of good swings. He's 1 for 3. And with 2 down, Kike Hernandez Out on deck, Andre Ethier, one reason why the left-hander is throwing in the Milwaukee bullpen. Craig Counsell is not going to get burned again. The Brewers have a better record when leading after 7 than the Dodgers, believe it or not. Little roller to third, charging Ramirez, and can't make the bare hand pickup. So there's another fella who once upon a time was a real star, but the years catches up to him as they do to all of them. And Ramirez unable to make the play. I think they're going to rule it a base hit. Andre Ethier was out on deck. Is going to give way to Callaspo. It'll be an infield single for Hernandez. And Callaspo ready to come up. So for Mattingly trying to play both sides of the game, if I send up Ethier, they're going to bring in that talented left-hander, Will Smith. So I'll send up Callaspo to bat left-handed, keep Jeffress in the game, and keep Smith out of the game for the moment. The Brewers, when they're leading after 7, remember they're leading, but it's not after 7 yet. They're 30-0, holding on to a lead after 7. So here's Callaspo. And ball 1. Callaspo hitting .229 as a Dodger, .265, and hitting .278 left-handed. Brett Anderson made 82 pitches in 7 innings. And now Jeffress behind 2-0. Giants are winning. Dodgers losing by 1. We're in the 7th. 2 balls and no strikes. Hernandez on that fake goes back to the bag. Hernandez does not have a stolen base. 2-0 pitch. And a high fastball. So with 2 out, the infield single against Aramis Ramirez on a play that he used to be able to make. And now here's Callaspo trying to keep the inning alive, and Jimmy Rollins on deck. 3-0. And the fastball is low. Well, the other night, the Dodgers won a game because of the inadequacy of the third baseman. They get a big break because Ramirez couldn't handle the ball by Hernandez, and we'll see if they can cash it in again. Jimmy Rollins doubled, struck out, flied to right, 1 for 3, scored a run. So 2 on, 2 out. And here's Rollins. To be honest, watching Ramirez try to handle the ball by Hernandez makes you realize why Hernan Perez got into the game the other night. 3 runs, 8 hits for Milwaukee, 2 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. Fastball for a strike. Oh, and 1. Hernandez at second. Callaspo at first. Foul ball, and the count 0-2. One of the things they talk about with Jeffress is his arm speed. You always hear about bat speed, but they talk about his arm speed, and it's tough to pick up the ball. A very smooth, clean delivery. They say his fastball, even though it's clocked high up to 100, doesn't really move a lot. So we'll see. 0-2 to Rollins. And 1-2. Fastball at 97. 3 runs, 8 hits for Milwaukee. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. Brewers have had 1 hit since the 4th inning. And the Dodgers trying to come back. 1-0, then 1-1, then 3-1, now 3-2. 1-2 pitch to Rollins is hit in the air to center. Gomez started in, goes back and picks it off. So Rollins hits the ball hard, but right at the center fielder. For the Dodgers, no runs, a hit and a walk. They leave 2, and we're heading for the 8th. 3-2 Brew. Braun hit a home run. Hernan Perez hit a home run. A.J. Ellis hit a home run. We can understand the home run by Ellis. It came in the 5th inning against Kyle Lohse, the 21st that Kyle has given up. But Lohse pitched very, very well in his 5 innings, holding the Dodgers to 2 runs. For the Brewers, they're now relying on their bullpen, trying to stop the Dodger hitting. And the Dodgers have to go into their bullpen and start out with Pedro Baez. So it will be LaCroix, Braun, and Gomez in the 8th inning. Jeffress in his inning made 21 pitches. There's no further activity for the moment anyway in the Milwaukee pen. So Baez facing Jonathan LaCroix. LaCroix has grounded to first, flied to right, single to center. So Baez, who was in last night's game, seeing a lot of work. Baez in his 23rd game, 29 strikeouts, 7 walks. Fastball to right. Puig is there. And we have 1 away on 1 pitch. The All-Star news today, in case you missed it.
Number 8.
Matt Holliday of the Cardinals got hurt the other day. He's unable to play in Cincinnati on the All-Star game. So Ryan Braun was designated to take his place. Braun with 16 home runs, 56 RBIs. It is the 6th time that Ryan has become an All-Star. And for the Dodgers, Max Scherzer was pitching today for Washington. So he's not going to be able to pitch in the All-Star game. So taking his place, Clayton Kershaw. So the Dodgers have 5 men going to the All-Star game for the first time since 1995. 0-1 to Braun. Homered, singled, hit into a double play. One and one. Take a look at Braun's home run, his 16th of the year. and hit it clear as a whistle over the wall. That was in the first inning. Dodgers came back. Rollins doubled. Turner singled him home. Then Perez homered. They added yet another in the fourth inning when they had a chance to really fatten up. Brewers had the bases loaded and nobody out in the fourth and got one. Dodgers had Ellis homer in the fifth to get close, and that's it. 3-2 Milwaukee, and we're in the eighth. Braun followed by Gomez. Two and two. Braun batting .276. The count's 2-2. Remember, we told you earlier, as Gomez waits, 2-1 count. Braun's hitting .462. Fastball, a mile-high fly ball, but it should be playable. Hernandez is there and makes the catch. A big league pop fly. 2 out in the eighth inning, and Carlos Gomez coming up. Gomez, who had the big night last night, 5 RBIs, made a dazzling running catch on a ball hit by Puig, caught Puig's fly ball and doubled up Grandal at first. Today, very quiet. Struck out, grounded out, fly to center. Dodgers in the bottom of the eighth. Kendrick, Gonzalez, and Turner. Ball one. Kendrick is 0 for 3. Gonzalez 0 for 3. Turner 3 for 3. Gomez 8 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Ball 2. And foul back. Baez throws 93. He can throw harder than that. Down in the Dodger bullpen, J.P. Howell and Kenley Jansen. For the Dodgers, the big challenge, how to get the ball to Kenley. 2-1. And another strike. 2-2 to Carlos Gomez. Baez trying to get the last out here in the top of the eighth inning. The Brewers have 1 hit since the fourth inning. The hit was by LaCroix starting the fifth, and Braun hit into a double play. They've been very quiet. And they are even more so as Gomez strikes out. So let's see, that's 3, 6, 9, 11 in a row. But we go to the bottom of the eighth, and it's still Milwaukee 3 and the Dodgers 2. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and Google Play. Bottom of the 8th inning, 3-2 in favor of Milwaukee, and the Dodgers with Kendrick, Gonzalez, and Turner. Jeremy Jeffress trying to hold it, and then they get the ball to Francisco Rodriguez probably in the 9th. Off speed, 0-1 to Kendrick. Howie grounded to third, grounded to second, struck out 0 for 3. One ball and one strike. Dodgers trying to come from behind. They would really feel like they're on a treadmill to nowhere if they finish up this homestand 5-5. There are a lot of people I know at the start of the homestand we're talking about, well, the Dodgers will probably go 8-2. Well, not a chance, because everybody thought they would sweep Philadelphia and probably win more than they lost against the Mets. They lost 2 out of 3. Fouled at the plate, no play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Craig Counsell now coming out to make sure that was a foul ball, and Kerwin Danley points, yep, it was foul. No argument from Craig. Terrific guy. Wish him well, just as we wish former Dodger Ron Renicky well in Milwaukee. The Brewers a year ago were in first place 150 days and never made it to the postseason. Ground ball up the middle. Segura can't get it. Kendrick leads off with a base hit, and the Dodgers have the tying run aboard. The ball is bobbled by Gomez, and into second base goes Kendrick. Carlos Gomez, who had such a big night last night, commits an error in center field after going 0 for 4, and that could be part of it. You know, you're out there having 0 for 4, you struck out twice, you're thinking about what's going on, and boom, you make a huge error, and the tying run's at second base. There's going to be a double switch now, and it will involve the left fielder Chris Davis. Gerardo Parra, a Gold Glove, will take over in left field. Remember, Parra, among other things, is not only a 300 hitter, but he has a ton of assists in the outfield. You put Parra in there, and the last time we checked, his assists were in the high 60s, 67 to be exact. So Will Smith is coming in from the bullpen, and we'll be back. Flex Alert. This summer, the power is in your hand. reflexalert.org, and by the Acura It's That Kind of Summer event. Gerardo Parra with his 67 assists out there in left field. Great arm. Meanwhile, the Dodgers have the tying run at second, nobody out, and Will Smith, the pitcher. We mentioned it the other night. Not only is there always a reason, or many of them, why a team is in last place, and one huge reason is defense. That's a breaking ball strike, 0-1. And we summed it up the other night. We can sum it up again today. The Brewers have the most errors in the league, 69. And the Dodgers have the fewest errors in the league, 35. We talk about a lot of things in baseball. The ability to score runs, home run. We talk about great pitching and a solid bullpen. But oh my goodness, is the glove so vitally involved. 0-2 to Adrian. Kendrick takes his lead. Segura's directly behind him. Breaking ball, foul back. Will Smith is only 26. He celebrated his birthday just the other day on July the 10th. He was originally signed by the Angels but never made it. Instead, he came up with the Royals, and the last 2 years he's been with the Brewers. So Gonzalez waiting, 0-2. And it's hit in the air to deep right field. Both back by Brown. He's going to have to watch it go over the wall. And the Dodgers lead 4-3. So Kendrick, the tying run belongs to Jeffress, and Gonzalez, the go-ahead run, belongs to Will Smith. And what a shot for Milwaukee. Remember, we told you after 7 innings, they are 30 victories and no losses. And now all of a sudden the Dodgers have tried to jerk the rug right out from under them. Gonzalez line drive clearing the wall. And the Dodgers lead 4-3. First time that they have led today. And it's in the bottom of the 8th inning. Justin Turner is 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double. And Adrian Gonzalez, playing like an all-star, hits a huge clutch home run. 5 in the last 10 games. 1-1. For Will Smith, would you believe it? That's the first home run that he has allowed this year, and he allows it to a left-hand hitter. And the count, remember, no balls and 2 strikes. That's the worst thing that can happen to any pitcher, and especially in this spot, left-hand pitcher, left-hand batter. So Gerardo Parra is listed to bat 9th, and they'll have to battle to get to him as Smith works on Turner. That's fouled away. 2-2. 4 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. They have 2 home runs. 3 runs, 8 hits for the Brewers. They have 2 home runs. So the Dodgers trying to tie a colorful ribbon on the package and close up the homestand by pulling one out. 2-2 to Justin Turner. Ground foul. So the highly touted Milwaukee bullpen suddenly runs into trouble. Jeffries gives up a run. The error didn't help any by Carlos Gomez, and then the home run by Gonzalez. Little foul, out of play. 43,229. Seeing the Dodgers trying to come from behind, wind up the homestand, having won 6 out of 10, and maintain a 4.5 game lead over the Giants who were doing a number on Philadelphia the last time we checked. Final score, Giants beat the Phillies 4-2. Giants are barely 3 games over 500, but Hunter Pence is in the lineup. And of course, that wonderful, exciting right fielder, he has come back, and the Giants are 16-7 now that he's back playing. 3-2. Fouled away. So Will Smith out of Noonan, Georgia. Gives up a home run to Gonzalez on a no-ball 2-strike count. That is the killer for any pitcher. 3-2. Little slider fouled away. Turner knows the book. Smith fastball, curve, change, and slider. And the 3-2 pitch. And that's hit in the air to right center and deep. Gomez to the track and picks it off at the wall. So Turner a long out, 1 down, and the batter Jock Peterson. Say tomorrow revisit one of the most memorable moments in Dodger Stadium history when they hosted the 1980 All-Star Game. Take a look back at Dodger greats Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes, and more leading the National League team to win. So don't miss Timeless Dodgers. That'll be tomorrow at 9 on Sportsnet LA. Jock Peterson fouled out, struck out twice, 0 for 3, hitting .227. Right side of the infield loaded up. Ramirez all alone on the left, and that's ball 1. When the Brew Crew, the Milwaukee Brewers, come up in the 9th, they will have Adam Lind, Aramis Ramirez, and Gene Segura. 2-0. If anybody gets on, Hernan Perez. And then if they get to the number 9 hitter, as Kenley Jansen waits in the bullpen, then it would be Parra batting 9th. That's a strike. 2-1. Two and 2. The Brewers led 2-0 in the 7th inning of Game 1, and the Dodgers won that game 3-2. And the Brewers were leading 3-2 in the 8th inning, and the Dodgers lead 4-3. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And that's hammered down the right field line, a bullet, but it hooks foul. So Peterson pulls it foul. Figures to be his last at bat before the All-Star game. 20 home runs, 40 RBIs, hitting .227. Foul back. Waiting on deck, Yasiel Puig. 1 out, 2 runs in. Dodgers lead 4-3. To repeat, Lind, Ramirez, and Segura due up in the 9th. And pop foul behind the plate. That'll go well back in the lower deck. Wow, the ball landed in the lower deck, bounced all the way up to the 2nd level where it was caught. That's a kangaroo bounce. Still 2-2 to Jock Peterson. Three men on the right side waiting. And foul back again. Good swing, good fastball. Each side scored in the first inning, and then Milwaukee scored in the third and fourth. But the Dodgers came back in the fifth and eighth to take the lead. 2-2. Off the plate, ball 3. Down in the Milwaukee bullpen, Jonathan Broxton, who has not been in the series, but Big John begins to loosen up. Maybe for Puig. Left-hander against left-hander here. And that's going to be hit into right field, and it is going to land by the bullpen gate. Peterson goes running into second base, slides in safely with a double, and he goes 1 for 4. So Peterson, a 1-out double, and the bullpen has faltered for one of the rare times for Craig Counsell. So with Puig coming up, it looks like Craig will go to the bullpen, and for the first time, we'll have a look at former Dodger Jonathan Broxton. So Will Smith comes in, gives up a home run and a double for the left-hander, a rough outing. Broxton heading this way, and we'll be back. Errors have helped them along the way. Friday night, the ground ball to third. Hernan Perez juggled, dropped it, picked it up, and threw late. Dodgers went on to win that game. That came with 2 out. And today, the single by Howie Kendrick and Carlos Gomez overrunning the ball for no real reason to be in that much of a hurry. And Kendrick took second base on the error. That set it up. They had to lift Jeffries. They brought in the left-hander Will Smith. He had an 0-2 count on Adrian Gonzalez, and Adrian hits a huge home run. Now the double by Peterson, and the note on Will Smith, after that home run by Gonzalez, he made 10 pitches against Turner and 10 pitches against Peterson. So that home run obviously affected him. So here's Jonathan Broxton, and Puig going after his first pitch, 0-1. Big John, as soft-spoken and quiet a player, I believe, who ever wore a Dodger uniform. Broxton came up with the Dodgers, first of all, in 2005, over 10 years ago. 0-2 to Puig. He was a second-round pick by the Dodgers in 2002. He's from Augusta, Georgia, the home of the Masters. He now lives in Waynesboro, Georgia. And he was with the Dodgers from 05 through 11. Then he went on to the Royals, the Reds, and eventually the Brewers last year. He is 6'4", and he's around, and I don't mean round, but he's around 300 pounds. Not sure how they list him in the Milwaukee press guide, but in our notes they have him up around 3. He has always been a big man. 0-2. And a little chin music. 1-2. In the press guide for Milwaukee, they have him at 305. Fastball really took off. The Brewers, the broadcasters were telling us before the series that Broxton has been wild. Not so much numerically, 9 walks, 33 strikeouts, but he's not putting the ball where he wants to, and his earned run average is almost 7. Fouled wide. So it's been Loesch, Blazek, Kotz, Jeffress, Smith, and Broxton. The fine 5 innings by Loesch goes down the drain. The 7 innings by Anderson are now discounted. The pitcher of record, Pedro Baez, could pick up the win. 1-2 to Puig, 1 out. Peterson at second base, 4-3 Dodgers. Ground ball hard to third, juggled but recovered by Ramirez to throw him out. So with the ball hit ahead of him, Peterson had nowhere to go. And for Yasiel Puig, he goes a quiet 0 for 4, having struck out twice. Now A.J. Ellis has been making noise with the bat. Grounded out hard in the 2nd inning, homered in the 5th, and then in the 7th inning sent Braun to the right field wall. So in a 1-run game, his home run's a big one. A.J.'s home run made it 3-2 Milwaukee. Now it's 4-3 Dodgers. To repeat, Lind, Ramirez, and Segura due up in the 9th inning. Fastball strike. Broxton can still hit 96 on the gun. One ball and 1 strike. Adrian Gonzalez on a no ball 2 strike count. A huge mistake, and by a left-hand pitcher. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2. Broxton still throwing in the high 90s. Has a curveball, changeup, and a very mean slider that comes up there anywhere from 84 to 88. 1-2. And a good sinker that time, and down goes Ellis. So Broxton comes in, but not before the Dodgers turn the game around. A no ball 2 strike count on Adrian Gonzalez, and with that sweet swing, he hits it over the right field wall, and the Dodgers take the lead for the first time today, 4-3. do see Jansen Rodriguez certainly not coming in with the ball club trailing 4-3. So Kenley with that remarkable strikeout to walk ratio, 36 strikeouts and 2 walks. The opposition is hitting 141 and he has an ERA of 1.7. So Kenley will be facing Adam Lind, Ramaris Ramirez and Gene Segura. 4 runs, 9 hits for the Dodgers, 3 runs, 8 hits for Milwaukee, and here it is. 11 in a row have gone down. The last Brewer base hit, LaCroix singled in the 5th inning. Lind is 1 for 3 and a strike. Final game of the homestand. Dodgers could pick up their 6th win, having lost 4. And that's foul back. 0-2. That's fastball alley. Anyone that comes up around here, 93 miles an hour. So Lind singled and scored in the 4th inning. But that's an inning you knew the Brewers would rue, because they had 3 straight hits to load the bases with nobody out and wound up with 1 run. 1-2 the count to Adam. The battle cry always, get the ball to Kenley. He has 15 saves. 1-2. Two and two all the way to the backstop. Great game. Each side scored in the 1st inning. Brewers scored in the 3rd and 4th to lead 3-1. Dodgers got 1 in the 5th and then 2 in the 8th. The big blow, Adrian Gonzalez hitting a 2-run home run on a no-ball 2-strike count. 2-2. And a high fly ball to deep left field, going back and ready to call it is Hernandez on the track. Boy, that ball carried. So a long out to left field, 1 out. Kenley Jansen, by the way, has allowed 2 home runs. He came close to allowing number 3, but it carried and Kike was there. So 1 out in the 9th inning. Here is Ramirez. And a strike. Aramis grounded to 3rd, single to left, popped up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gene Segura 1 for 3 on deck. The shortstop coming off a big game. He had 3 hits in game 1, 1 last night, and 1 today. Check swing for a strike. 1-2 the count to Aramis Ramirez. Ramirez had big, huge numbers back in 04, 5, and 6 for the Chicago Cubs, hitting as many as 38 home runs and 119 runs batted in. But that was a while ago. So that is 13 Brewers in a row since the base hit by LaCroix way back in the 5th inning. Fastball, and he just threw it by Aramis. So with 2 out in the 9th inning, here is Gene Segura. Struck out, hit a little nubber for a base hit against Brett Anderson, and hit back to the box. Segura, 3 home runs, 24 runs batted in. as we said, had a 3-hit game in game 1. 1 hit last night, 1 today. 5 hits in the series, and his foot in the door with 2 out in the 9th. Ball 2. Should the Brewers lose, and the Dodgers certainly have them pinned to the mat, it'll be the first time that the Brewers have lost a game when they were leading at the end of 7. They were 30-0. They will also lose their golden opportunity to be 500 on the road. They'll be 22-24. 2-1 to Segura. The Dodgers, turning and pulling this one out, would win the season series 4-3. 2-1 the count. They move Peterson slightly to right center. And a high pop fly going foul. Here comes Puig, and it's going to go into the stands. A great effort, but no chance by Adrian Gonzalez. Wow. Adrian appears a little annoyed. Maybe he felt he might have had a play. He certainly went head first after it. Here's Puig coming over with him. And there goes Adrian. So no catch. The All-Star shining in the sun here in Los Angeles. 2-2 to Segura. Almost hit him. Ball 3. Scooter Gennett comes out on deck. He would hit for Perez. Perez hit a home run in the 3rd inning. But Scooter's a left-handed batter. All right, 3-2 to Gene Segura. And a flare down the right field line. That's going to go back into the stands. 43,229 out to see the game, and they've seen a good one. Brewers leading most of the way, and the Dodgers turning it around in the bottom of the 8th. Kenley ready to make his 16th pitch. 2 out in the 9th. Trying to retire the 14th man in a row since the base hit in the 5th inning. Got him. So the last 14 go down with 2 strikeouts. Ramirez and Segura. Another big save by Kenley Jansen, and another clutch home run by Adrian Gonzalez. So the Dodgers win it. 4 runs, 9 hits, and no errors. And for Milwaukee, 3 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. The loser, Will Smith, the winning pitcher, would be Pedro Baez, and Kenley Jansen made 16 pitches. So, Adrian Gonzalez, congratulations on the All-Star pick, and as an All-Star came up the big clutch home run against left-hander Will Smith. So all 5 are heading for Cincinnati, and we wish them well. And right now, from all of us to all of you, we wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody.